Hi, this is Brett Premack. I'm here with Sonny Rollins on the eve of the release of his new Doxy Records recording, Roadshows Volume 3. He's joining us for a Google Hangout with his fans from his home in Woodstock, New York. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, Brett.
Yeah. Looks like a beautiful day in Woodstock today.
It's a beautiful day in Woodstock today.
And Roadshows Volume 3 is the third volume of your Roadshows series of compilations of live things that you've done. You've got a couple of standards on here and a couple of originals. One original in particular we love is Patanjali. Could you tell us the origin of that song?
Patanjali is the Indian chronicler of the yoga system. And I've been into yoga for many years now. And Patanjali wrote much about it and sort of broke it down for the people to understand what yoga was.
And your pursuit of yoga took you to India in the 60s. Could you tell us just a few things about that remarkable trip?
Well, I went to India. I stayed there about, let's see, how many months I was there. A few months. And I stayed at an ashram there, a religious place for the yogins, the yogi monks, and the yoginis. So that was the women yoga studiers. And we had I learned quite a bit there. And the atmosphere of being in India, such a sacred place for so many important philosophies that came out of the East. And it was a great time. I thought it was one of the high points of my life.
Well, certainly some of that comes through in Patanjali. And we want to welcome the first fan, a participant who actually played some music for us on his clip. He's a tenor saxophonist from Plainview, Long Island. And I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but his first name is Josh. Josh, how do you pronounce your last name?
Junglior.
And how long have you been playing the tenor?
3 years.
3 years. And what's your question for Sonny?
What is your mindset while writing a jazz tune? Like, what is going through your head while you're writing a tune?
Well, hopefully, you have to have a reason. Of course, you can just listen to music, and it gives you a thrill, and you want to write it down. There's different ways to do it. You can sit down at a piano, or you can sit down in a quiet place, wake up in the morning, at 6 a.m. and go into a room and concentrate, and you do it that way. Or you can do it while you're playing your horn, something that you run across on your instrument, makes you think of a song.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do, you go and write it down right away.
Yeah.
Write it down immediately.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have to be, would you have to be happy while writing the tune, or do you have to have a certain emotion while you're taking a solo?
Well, writing a tune and taking a solo are different things. I would say that happiness and sadness are both parts of the same thing. So I wouldn't say you have to be happy, you don't have to be sad, you just have to feel it.
Yeah.
So music is something you feel. You feel it. It doesn't have to be happy, it doesn't have to be sad.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, great. We want to thank Josh for joining us. I know you're taking time out from school. Hopefully the truant officers won't show up at your front door.
No, and I'll have a very good reason.
Well, Josh, that's great. It's great to meet you, and keep practicing, keep studying,
Of course,
and keep your mind open to music.
definitely.
Okay, great.
Okay, Sonny, we've got a question from Google Plus here before we get our next participant in the from our fans. A drummer named Robert. He wants to know who are some of your favorite drummers and why, and what do you look for in a drummer?
Well, I have played with so many great drummers. Art Blakey, Max Roach, Elvin Jones, Philly Joe Jones, Jack DeJohnette, Smitty Smith. I played with Tony Williams. Um, it's hard to say who is my favorite drummer.
Okay,
I think that they all have something to contribute, and it's hard to categorize it that way.
okay. Well, what do you look for in a drummer?
Well, actually, when I've played with a drummer is usually an accompanying instrument for me. I'm soloing, and the drummer's job is to play for me. So I look for somebody, of course, that's got empathy for what I'm doing. He hears whatever I may do and corresponds to it. So besides being a great player in himself, I look for somebody that can listen to me and compliment what I'm doing.
Okay. We're going to jump over to down in Kentucky, a couple of saxophonists who are friends and participate in the contest. The first is Russ Curry. I got my guys confused. Russ, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Tell us something about yourself. How old are you and what do you play?
I'm 15, and I primarily actually play the bassoon in a concert band, but I also do play alto sax in our school's marching band and baritone sax in our school's jazz band. And I like to fiddle around on soprano sax.
Cool. What was the impetus for you to get into jazz, Russ?
Well, I went to our school's jazz concert at the end of the year, and I really liked it. And I thought I wanted to be a part of this next year, so I signed up for it when I came into high school.
Cool. And what is your question for Sonny?
My question would be, what inspired you to play jazz as a kid?
Well, I was inspired by some great music that I heard when I was 2, 3 years old. I heard the great pianist Fats Waller. Now, I don't know if you know him or not, but if not, you should check him out. And he had such a great vibrancy, such a great joy, such mastery of the instrument that I realized that, wow, jazz must be the greatest thing in the world. And then I got interested in jazz and eventually became a jazz musician.
Okay, Russ, I got you guys confused.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. Did you have a follow-up?
Do I have a follow-up?
Follow-up question?
Uh,
I guess not. Let's bring
Not really.
Kirby over here so we can ask the next question. Kirby, you want to step into the proceedings?
He'll be here.
Okay, Kirby, how are you today?
I'm fine, thanks.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
You're 16, and tenor or alto?
Tenor.
Okay, what's your question for Sonny?
My question for Sonny would be, how do you use everything you learn when you're practicing, how do you translate that into your playing?
Well, it's a very deep question, Kirby. You realize that, don't you?
Yep.
You do? Okay. Practicing is practicing. You do your rudiments and you concentrate very hard and you put your books down. When you go out on the stage, as I don't know if you're doing that yet, but you will be one day, then you forget your books. You forget the books, but you've imbibed the music already. The music is part of you. So you forget practicing. When you're on the stage, Kirby, you let the music play you. You don't play the music. You don't play what you practice at home. You let the music play you. And to do that, you have had to really had a good practice session at home. So you understand the material you're working with, if it's songs, if it's whatever kind of piece of music it is. Then Kirby, when you get on the stage, that's already in your head already. The music is there already that you've learned practicing. So when you're on the stage and you're in a playing position, then you forget it. You let see, music is a very mystical force. It's something nobody can describe exactly what it is. And that's what you're looking for when you're playing on the stage. That's what you want. You want to get to that place, but nobody can describe it. And then you let that music just play you. And everything you practice will come out. But don't think about it. Don't try to play what you practice at home.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us from Kentucky. Sonny, another question from the Google Plus community of people here watching the Hangout. And the question is, why do you think Charlie Parker had such a powerful influence on musicians of that era and still continues to have that powerful influence today?
Why does Charlie Parker have such an influence? Because he's a very gifted musician that had something very important to say. In his time, he had a lot to say, but you say there's Charlie Parker and there's other people. For instance, there's a guy named Johnny Hodges. It's also great. They're different. This is what's so wonderful about jazz. You don't always have to play just like Charlie Parker. You have to play like Johnny Hodges, too. And this is why jazz is the greatest music there is, because you can play every style, you can play every genre of music. All of this stuff can come out. And there are many musicians that represent all of these different individual personalities that they have. And this is what makes jazz such a great force, and I'm happy that you're getting into it. And you'll have your favorites. We all have our favorites. But we have to remember there are a lot of people. Like Charlie Parker was my favorite for a while, but so was Johnny Hodges. And this is sort of the way you have to look at life and music. There's a lot of music there. There's a lot of music.
And there's a lot of life, too. And we're going to jump over now to British Columbia to a talented, pardon me, young saxophonist. Lauren Collins. Good afternoon. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning, Mr. Primack. How are you?
Okay. Tell us something about how you got into jazz.
The high school I go to, Wellington Secondary, has a jazz academy as part of its education platform. And when I was about 13, I went to a concert at the school. I'd been listening to jazz at home, but listening to the bands and the groups at the school really made me want to start learning how to play this music.
And what was your introduction to Sonny Rollins?
When I started taking private lessons, my saxophone teacher, Steve Jones, gave me saxophone Colossus because I was playing the tenor. And just to sort of get a feel for jazz and what the tenor saxophone sounded like in the 50s. And listening to saxophone Colossus really made me want to pursue this music and really inspired me to start really thinking about playing the tenor as a career.
And what is your question for Sonny Rollins?
Mr. Rollins, when I listen to your playing, the thing that jumps out at me is always the rhythm. The melody is fantastic, but even in your compositions and your soloing, the rhythm and articulation is what jumps out at me. I was wondering if the way you approach the rhythmic aspect to improvisation is changed on different ensemble setups, such as adding a piano or a guitar, or who you're playing with, or the situation like that.
Well, rhythm is a very, very important part of life and of music. And jazz thrives on rhythm. You know, jazz originally was music and people danced to it. And even as the bebop era began being popular, there were still people dancing. So to dance, you have to have a rhythm, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, right. You've got a guy playing drums and whatever and creating a rhythm. So this element, this rhythmic element, is very important in jazz. It's very important in jazz. Even in the jazz that a lot of the kids are playing today, which is not straight rhythmic music, there's still an element of rhythm that has to be in your mind. And even if you're playing solo saxophone, you've got to have a rhythm in your mind. So rhythm is very important. And when you're playing jazz, of course, it's extremely important. Because rhythm sort of is one of the things that gives life to jazz, what makes jazz different from other musics.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, how do you get rhythm? Well, I don't know how to get rhythm. You have to listen to music, and I'm sure you have rhythm. I'm sure you have a rhythm. And you try to express it when on your horn. Try to express those little things that you hear on your horn when you're practicing. And whatever you play, even if you're playing by yourself, think rhythmically. Give it life, because that's the essence of jazz. It's a rhythmic life. It's what makes jazz what it is. I think you understand a little bit of what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You have a follow-up question, Laura?
I did, but you really just answered everything with what you said right there. So.
I knew I did. I knew I did.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, great, Lauren. Thanks for joining us today. We're really well represented by British Columbia here today on the Hangout. We've got another friend from British Columbia joining us now, Johnny Bridgman. Johnny is a saxophonist and a teacher as well. Hey, Johnny.
Hey there. How's it going?
Okay, we got Johnny's audio. Take two. Hey, Johnny.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great.
Tell us something about your teaching. Where are you helping young musicians?
Currently, I'm teaching private lessons mainly. I have taught in the Okanagan in Karamias, where I'm from. I taught there for a couple of years. Yeah.
And oops, go back. What's your question for Sonny?
So Sonny, as a teacher, my main question, I'm wondering what you feel are the most important elements of music to be teaching young musicians that are starting out.
Well, if you are gifted with music, then you should be in one category. If you're learning music to be a good citizen, everybody should learn music, whether you have gifting, whether you are gifted in it or not. But everybody should learn music. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Yes, you know, the philosopher Plato said that teach music to your children and they can understand all of the other subjects. So now you have those people that you can just teach rudiments to, and they'll get a lot out of that. They'll learn science, they'll learn mathematics, they'll learn all of these things from music. Now the other people that have a special gift to perform music for other people, that's different. And those people you have to be very careful with because they're sensitive people. So you've got to be very careful with teaching them. You have to let them do what they hear, and you have to just very gingerly tell them sort of what to do, but you can't, because you can't really teach a young genius. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to be right. So you have to treat those two sides differently. Do you know what I mean?
I think I hear you. Yeah. That's interesting for sure.
Follow-up question, Johnny?
I'm just I think maybe I'm more curious in the people who are maybe not, as you say, gifted. What would be the best things to pass on or to guide those people with to help them get the most out of music?
It's the next one, not yet, almost.
Well, for them, I would say that the rudiments of music, scales, etc., etc. That's let them learn their scales and the basic fundamentals of, playing a piano or playing an instrument. Just the basic fundamentals. Make sure they learn those. They've got to be home. They've got to study their scales. They've got to know their major scales, they've got to know all of that. As a teacher, that's what you know. And you can make sure that they do that. If your student doesn't practice the piano, you have a little stick in your hand. And when you come by, you hit them on the fingers. Not too hard, just softly.
Not too hard. We've got to be careful. Johnny, thanks for your question. We're going to go to the third visitor from British Columbia, a 13-year-old saxophonist, Soren. Soren, pronounce your last name for me. Oops, hold on. One more time. Give me your name.
It's pronounced Vinegard.
All right, Soren Vinegard. How did you get into jazz, Soren?
First it was well, actually I heard this it was this theme song that I heard once, and then it was swing music, and then I started looking for some more of that music. My mom showed me a Django Reinhardt record, and then I heard Pat Metheny, and then eventually it was Sonny Rollins, and yeah, so.
Okay, very interesting. And what's your question for Sonny today?
My question is, having played with so many great musicians and in a whole bunch of different situations, how have your playing routines or practicing routines changed over the decades?
Well, I've learned from all of them. When I was growing up, my idols were Louis Jordan, the great rhythm and blues saxophonist. Then Coleman Hawkins was a great tenor saxophonist. Then Lester Young was a great tenor saxophonist. These were people that set the styles for what people are playing today. Coleman Hawkins, Lester Young, especially. And then there are others, great people that I listen to. And I learned from them. In fact, as a boy, I used to, after I was at school and got through with school, I used to find out where some of these great musicians lived, you know. Then I'd go there and I'd have my saxophone, and I'd go and I'd ring their bell, you know, and hoping they'd teach me something. Now, these are guys that have been playing in nightclubs all night long till maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. And here comes this little kid waking them up. So I wouldn't do that today. But most of them were very kind to me, you know, because they knew that I just wanted to learn. But that's how I learned. You have teachers, and then you have people that you listen to that you learn from. That's another form of learning. And there are many people you can learn different things from, so many different people.
And having mastered it. Sorry, I'm getting feedback.
Hey, ask your question, Soren.
So and then having mastered their techniques, or having mastered your own technique, what do you usually do then?
Well, there's no such thing as complete mastery in my mind, in my view. You know, I practice all the time, still today. So there's no such thing as mastery. In something like music, it's always something to learn. It's always rudiments that you have to go through. So there's no such thing as mastery. Music is vast. There's always something to learn.
Well, let's take a question from Google Plus. This is from Jeff Taylor. He says, pardon me, I am intrigued by the bigger picture of spirit playing a central role in all things. With music as the chosen vehicle for the expression of my life, how can I reconcile the increasing disinterest of most creative music like jazz in at least North America? What are your thoughts on that, Sonny?
I have to hear that question again. I got completely lost.
Okay. Let me give you a take two, and if not, I'll rephrase it. Let's try it again. He's intrigued by the bigger picture of spirit playing a central role in all things. And because he has music as the center of his life, he's concerned about reconciling what he perceives as a disinterest in creative music. What do you think?
Do I have you correct in saying that there's some sort of a spiritual aspect to music? Is that what you're implying?
That's what Jeff Taylor implies. There is a spiritual aspect to it, but how does he reconcile what he perceives as a disinterest in creative music?
On his part?
On his part, yes.
So he recognizes that there is a spiritual aspect to music, but he's disinterested in it.
No, he's not disinterested. He feels that in society there's a disinterest.
Oh. Well, you see, my dear boy, it's not your business what society does. It's your business what you do with your music, what you feel about spiritual music, if that's where you're coming from. Never mind what society does. We can't change society. Society is going to do whatever it does, and we see what society does. It's nothing that a musician wants to get involved in. So you're in a different part, and then society is here. So don't let society influence you, and don't worry about society. Leave society is whatever they're doing is fine. If you're interested in music and you have a strong spiritual feeling about music, then you do that. Never mind society. And that's what life is about. You do what you feel you're put here to do on the earth. And that's the spiritual sense of music. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, one of the entries in the contest is not from a musician per se, but a tap dancer. And we want to welcome the man who actually got the most votes in our Rollins Meet Your Fans Facebook video contest. Joining us from, I believe, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Brian Berry. Hey, Brian. Okay, hold on. Got to bring up the audio. Take two. Hello, Brian.
Hey, hello.
Tell us something about what you do and how that relates to jazz.
Well, as far as I know, tap dance has always been a part of jazz. To my knowledge, particularly in the 40s, I know was prime for tap dance. And myself and a couple other friends of mine, Jeremy Kisman and a buddy of mine, Andrew Nimmer, and a couple others, I think we're trying to keep it along those roots. And for me in particular, hard bop and bebop have. That's pretty much all I listen to, all I dance to, and that's all I'm ever going to pretty much dance to. So for me, tap dance is music, like playing drums, or I can hear melody in it. Yeah, so hopefully just keep it going.
And what is your question for Sonny?
Sonny, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So my question for you is, and this is a question from my friend Jeremy Kisman as well, as tap dancers focusing on jazz improvisation, what insight or advice could you give us regarding our unique position in the jazz idiom?
Well, I think you're right on the right track. There's not much more I can tell you except to listen, of course, to a lot of music, jazz music. There's so much available today, much more than I was coming up. But listen and pick out these things that the rhythmic element really strikes you. You've done that already. Of course, as I said, when I was coming up, I used to go to the Apollo Theater in New York, and I'd see all the great tap dancers. I'd see everybody. Each week there was another there was always a tap dancer on the show. So I was very fortunate. I saw all of these guys tap dance. Baby Lawrence and
Oh, baby, yeah,
and many others. So,
Right, okay.
but I agree with you. Tap is part of jazz. And I
Thank you,
heard
yeah.
your interview, and I was very happy that you chose Sunny Moon for Two, because I am going to assume that you listened to the whole record.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Not just
yeah.
right.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Okay. So then you heard my attempt at rhythmic, something that you can use in tap dancing.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I've heard. Well, as far as I know, I think I've heard pretty much every recorded or live arrangement that you played. And I just want to say it for me it's my personal favorite. I just think it's fantastic and I really enjoy playing that as a tap dancer.
Right. Well, as a tap dancer, the fact that you like it is very good for me because it shows that my rhythmic sense on that must have been really acute. And
it is. It is. Absolutely.
Brian,
Yeah.
are you going to give us a little sample of what you do?
Actually, I would love to. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
Okay. Bear with me 30 seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds. Just bear with me.
All right.
Brett, if you don't mind, tell me if you can see the board and all that.
Okay. Go down, go down, go down. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little. That's it. Okay, do it.
Okay. Well, 1 second. Here we go.
Okay. This is Brian Barry. Wow, beautiful. Thank you, Brian. Sonny, I'd say this man has a bright future.
Yeah, it sounds like a Sonny Rollins solo.
Yeah, there you go. Pretty cool. Thanks so much for joining us, Brian. Now we're going to jump over to London, England. A young saxophonist from Nigerian origin. Let's say hello to Savannah. Hey, Savannah.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Okay. Tell us something about how you got into jazz.
I'm a music student for quite a long time now, and when I started picking up the saxophone, my teacher introduced me to jazz, and we were studying jazz a bit for our music exams. That's how I mainly got into jazz, anyway.
And why did you decide to play the saxophone?
Why the saxophone?
Yeah.
Oh, I was experimenting with like a few instruments, and I just gravitated towards the saxophone more than the rest of them.
Cool. And what's your question for Sonny?
My question for Sonny is, how has your approach to learning jazz music changed over the years. How like as the music has changed and maybe like your life experiences, how has it like changed the way you practice and how you play, etc.
Wow. Well, you know, I've always been a person. Now, what's your name again? I missed.
Savannah.
Savannah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Savannah, I've always been a person that loves to practice. When I first got my horn, I was 7 years old or something like that. And I went in the room and I started practicing. I was blowing all day long. And my mother had to stop me and say, Sonny, come on, it's time to eat. So I always like to practice. I've always just loved blowing the horn. That's a beautiful thing because it stayed with me all my life. I still love practicing. And the styles of music, there will always be changes because this is a changing world, and so there'll always be musical changes that occur. But your love for the saxophone, my love for the saxophone, will always be there, and I will always practice. I hope you always practice. And you make some of the changes yourself. You're saying there's changing in styles. Well, you make some of the changes. Why not? But practicing always and really with love in your heart. This is what's going to make the difference in your life and the people that get a chance to hear you. And it's a beautiful life playing the saxophone. I mean, it's great. It's spiritual. It's like the earth. It's like water. It's everything. It's like nature. And so I congratulate you for choosing the saxophone. And I have a feeling that I'll be hearing from you in future times.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned me like making change. How do you feel about women in jazz? Because obviously, historically speaking, the majority of horn players were men, and maybe the women were like singers or maybe pianists. How do you feel about women now in jazz and what they have to offer?
Well, it depends on the woman. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you can play jazz. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can play jazz. If there is a talented jazz player, she can be a woman or she can be a man. Mm-hmm. It's society that has to accept women in that role. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as if you put on a record, you don't know who it is, sounds great, and then they say, oh, well, that's a woman, so it doesn't matter. And I think society is beginning to change, and people are beginning to accept women playing jazz now. And I think a lot of women want to play jazz now. That's what I've been finding out. A lot of women are very anxious to play jazz, and they felt that they've sort of been denied playing jazz. So this is great. This is great. I welcome them. And there used to be a woman, Vi Burnside, I remember when I was coming up. She used to be with the Sweethearts of Rhythm, and she was very good, but we didn't hear too much of her. So let's, I'm all for women in jazz because it's about the music. It's not about the player. It's about the music.
Sure.
Great, Savannah. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sonny, a couple more questions from our Google Plus folks. From Taylor Dalen, He says, being the wise man that you are, do you believe in religion? Explain why you do or don't.
Well, religion, I believe in a higher power. Let me put it that way. I believe in a higher power. I believe there's a reason things happen that we humans don't understand. You know, I believe that there's a guiding hand that's much more wise than we are as human beings. Now, religion, no, I don't want to go into religion because religion is politics. You know, every country believes in this, they have to have their army, and they believe in this. So, organized religion, you know, has not, I don't believe in that. I believe in a higher power, period. I don't believe in any particular organized religion. I mean, I don't know if that's answering your question or not.
I believe that answers the question. Here's another one from Mike Zellers. Sonny, I am housebound with a broken hip. What book should I read?
What books should you read? Well, boy, that's a question too big for me. I don't know what. One thing that you should do is don't look at television. I would say that is, as long as you don't look at television, then that's number one. So I think you're on the right track there. You're interested in reading books. Well, there's so many books. This is the age of too much information. So there are lots of books. There's lots of everything out there today. Lots of stuff to, you know, exercise books, philosophy books, books to learn how to build a cabinet. There's so many things. So I don't know what your interests are. But you gave me an opportunity to say, don't waste your time looking at television.
Joining us from West Hartford, Connecticut, where he attends the Jackie McLean Institute at the University of Hartford, let's say hello to Mike Casey. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Get a little bit closer to the monitor so you fill more of the screen, Mike. That's good. So our friend Javon Jackson heads up the program at Jack McLean Institute. Have you worked at all with Javon?
I have. Yes, I've been in his ensemble this entire year. We've been doing the music of Art Blakey, and it's been great.
Well, you're getting it from the source, certainly, because Javon spent some important time working with Art. What is your question for Sonny?
Well, one thing I've been working on in my playing recently is really trying to find my own voice and have it come through strongly in my music. I mean, we all know who we are, but I was wondering if you had any advice on how to get that to come through strongly in your music and your playing.
Well, it's very individual. I mean, like you say, every artist in jazz, from Coleman Hawkins to Lester Young and John Coltrane to Don Byas, all of these great people have their own sounds. How do you get it to come out? It's you. You've got to get yourself to come out. It's you. And I would say that it takes a little time. You might not, at the stage you are now, you're still studying, you might not be able to realize it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give you a few more years. And you're studying with some great people, Javon and the people up at Jackie's school. So give yourself a few more years. Don't get discouraged, and your style will come out. You sound like you today, but you want to sound more like you. So what you want to do, if I'm interpreting your question correctly, you want to be a better you.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. So, because you already sound like you. You want to be a better you.
Mm.
So give yourself a few more years, and you'll be able to hear a more individualistic sound of yourself emerging.
Mm.
Mike, you got a follow-up?
I do. I've always loved your trio records, and I've actually been writing a lot for, just saxophone, bass, and drums lately. And I was curious, from checking out, past interviews, I have a little bit of an idea why you went that direction initially. But I'm curious as to why you later decided to go back to adding chords to music, guitar, piano.
Well, I like piano players. I like guitarists. And it's not that I don't like playing with them.
Mm.
It's just that most of the time I get more of an inspiration by myself, so that I'm not being led anyplace. See, the great pianists, and I played with many of them, gratefully, but many of them having 88 keys, having a lot of auto possibilities, they lead. And they're some of the greatest pianists that I played with. They'll lead you. They'll play a chord, and that means follow me.
Mm-hmm.
They'll play another chord, drone, with all those keys, and that means, oh, I got to go there. Or they'll play drone, and there's all this, and you go there. Okay? So, in my case, I've done that, been there, done that, and I want to do my own zoom.
Yeah.
You see, I want to play, if I hear something, I want to do it. If not, I don't want to do it. So it's a matter of sort of a freedom. It's a matter of being free in a saxophone, drums, bass grouping. It's more freedom. It allows you more freedom to play. And of course, we know that that's what jazz is really about.
Yeah.
Jazz is like nature. It's free. It rains one day, it snows the next day, it's hot the next. It's everything that's there. And I want to express that myself. And so that's why I began using just the drums and the bass in many of my early recordings.
Well, great, Mike. Thanks so much for your question, and good luck on your what looks to be a very promising career. Sonny, we're going to take another question here from Google+. It's interesting that you're discussing groups and whatnot. The question comes from Spain. She says, my name is Miriam Abalejo. I have always considered Bob Cranshaw as a sort of Sancho Panza by your side. What does he mean in your career?
I didn't hear what she said about she always considered Bob as what?
Sancho Panza by your side.
Sancho Panza was?
That's a tough one. I'm trying to figure out the literary reference here. I'm going to Google that, but while that's in motion here, you've been playing with Bob Cranshaw for 50 years. Why don't you share with us the story of how you guys when you first played together?
Well, Bob Cranshaw, I happened to be introduced to Bob Cranshaw way back in the Playboy Jazz Festival, the first one in Chicago. And I needed a bass player. I was out on the road and I needed a bass player. Somebody brought Bob Cranshaw in and said, oh, this is Bob Cranshaw, play with you, Sonny. So we played together and we went through some music, and Bob was his mind was right where my mind was. I made a transposition, Bob made it with me. I made another thing. Bob made it with me. So I said, wow, this guy is somebody that I want to work with. And so I told him I was going on the bridge at that time. I told him when I come back in a couple of years or so, I'm going to ask him and see if he wants to join my band. And fortunately, he did. And that's how we've been associated all these years.
Yeah, well, it's been a long and very fruitful association through many recordings, and in fact, Bob appears on Roadshows Volume 3.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, here's another question from our Google Plus audience, from Mike Zellers. I saw the man with the broken hip was looking for something to read. He says, I saw a video where you jumped off the stage and kept playing. For some reason, I found it to be a transcendent moment. What are your thoughts on that moment, Sonny?
Well, I was used to it that period. I used to come into the audience and play for the audience. So that's what I was about to do. However, I didn't realize how tall the stage was. And so I happened to break my ankle. But my heel, rather, not my ankle, my heel. But you know, the show must go on. That's an old saying in show business. So I didn't want to stop playing. I was still okay to play. I just couldn't walk, but I could play. So I played and tried to continue the performance.
Well, we'll talk about overcoming obstacles. That's certainly high on the list. Our final participant from our Facebook contest now joins us from Portland, Oregon, a young saxophonist who's taking time. He's actually in school doing the Hangout, and his name is Quinn McIntyre. Hey, Quinn.
Hello.
How are you today? What are you between fourth and fifth period, or what's going on there?
I'm in second period just started, so English class.
English class.
Wow, wow, wow.
What do your teachers feel about you doing this Hangout?
Well, I was actually mixed up on the time, so I'm an hour earlier than I was expecting to come, but they're still okay with it, and surprised that I have this great opportunity. So.
Okay, good. What's your question for Sonny?
My question is, if you were to go back to when you were my age, what's one thing you would want to know?
About what subject?
About philosophy, life, or just jazz, music.
Well, you know, there's not much that you can do when you're. How old are you again?
15.
Okay, 15. Well, you know, when I was around 11 years old, and I used to go down. My father worked down at was in the Navy, and he was down at Annapolis working. Anyway, you know, I was 11 years old, and there was a really attractive girl. I would say she's a woman, 18, 19 years old, maybe a little older. So I really liked her. And I would see her walking around there. So, you know, one day I went up to her and I tried to jump on her. So she sort of, oh, come on, you're a little boy. So I realized that there's some things you're going to have to just wait to find out. So you're going to have to wait to find out about life. There's nothing I can tell you at your age which is going to make a difference in your life. You're a musician, so you're already on the right track. It's wonderful. The rest of it, wait until it happens. It'll be more fun.
Okay,
Thank
Quinn.
you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Sonny, the final question today, once again from our Google Plus Hangout, says, I heard you play Isn't It Lovely at Oberlin years ago. You seem transported elsewhere, and it transported me. What are you feeling when you are in the zone?
Well, when you're in the zone, you really don't feel. That's what being in the zone means. You're in another place, and this is where music is supposed to take you. There's no words to describe it. You're in another zone is a great word. And I'm glad that you got that experience. I sometimes I make myself satisfied when I play, not very often. So, but I try to get in the zone all of the time. I try to always be in the zone. But what it means, well, I don't know. There are no words to describe what it means to be in the zone or how I was playing that night. It's not describable.
Sonny, you are a man who has a reputation as being a very private individual. So we want to thank you for opening yourself up to do this hangout today. What's your impression of doing this thing and taking these questions from these young musicians?
Well, I'm very happy to, I was their age at one time. And as I said, I used to go around and knock on great musicians. I remember I used to go to Eddie Lockjaw Davis and, knock on his door trying to get him to have my saxophone in hand. So I know how they feel, and that enthusiasm is great. And I hope that I've given them something that they can get something out of. And I didn't have to wake them up in the middle of the afternoon.
Well, I'm sure they got something, and I'm sure we've gotten something from today and also from your music. I want to thank Sonny Rollins for joining us from his home in Woodstock, New York, on the eve of the release of his third Doxy Records recording of live performances, Roadshows Volume 3. Thanks again, Sonny.
Thank you, Brett.